going to talk a little bit about acknowledging folks. Traditionally, you want to acknowledge a donation, obviously, with a gift, receipt, or letter, acknowledging their donation. Always, of course, I encourage folks at a certain level, depending on, again, your chapter, you may want to also reach out, and this could be a great way to use your students. Some of you do phone-a-thons to actually ask for the money, but at some point in your cycle, you may want to choose possibly doing a thank-a-thon, where you use your students in a different way, where you're calling folks to actually thank them for their donations. This makes the renewal process a whole lot easier because people feel appreciated. Donors want to know a couple of things. They want to know how their money is being used. They also want to know how many people on the board are giving. And I don't mean just their time. This does not have to be in your acknowledgement letter, but it may get asked of you. Okay? Those are the top two things donors are asking of organizations. Do 100% of your board members participate by writing a check? I don't mean by getting a trinket for the golf outing or something. They're actually writing a check. And number two, where is my money going? Is it being spent for the purpose or the intention that I meant for it to be spent on? My friend back here, Penelope Burke, talks a lot about acknowledging, and I think it's a very important component. How many of you have a letter that starts something like, thank you for, or on behalf of? Does anyone ever receive a letter like that when you give a gift? 71% of acknowledgement letters start with those two phrases. What I'd like to do is just take a couple of minutes at your table, and I want you, as a group, to write an incredible, awesome opening sentence that is donor-centered to an acknowledgement letter. Remember, donors want to know where their money's going, how it's impacting the cause. So you may want to start your letter with something that's really going to resonate with the donor. And have your second sentence, of course, then you need to thank them for their contribution. But that first sentence, to really change it up a little bit, and having that first sentence be different.
Do you realize what your blank contribution we received today will do for our graduating seniors?
I would even take the dollar amount out of that first sentence. The dollar amount is irrelevant. They made a difference. Then in the second sentence, thank you for your contribution, or X dollars. Okay? But excellent. Okay, read it one more time.
Do you realize what your contribution we received today will do for our graduating seniors?
It's emotional. It draws you in.
Because of yours and others' generous contributions, we are excited that we were able to impact the post-secondary opportunities for 110 students this year. We nearly achieved providing for all students, which we hope to achieve next year.
Two things I would do. I would take and others, I think you say in the first sentence.
Yeah.
Okay?
Take it out.
Okay, in this letter, it's all about the one. Okay, the one you're writing to. And I love that they're using how many students they had an impact on. I mean, if everybody knows that their donation impacted 110 students, they don't need to know that we didn't quite get to everybody. They had an influence on 110 students going to college. That's awesome.
Hey, did you know how much of an impact your donation made?
Okay, another question. Would you start it with hey? Probably not. But I love that you used a question. Do you have any idea the impact you made with your contribution? And people probably don't.
You helped us reach a record number of students this year.
Excellent. Just a solid statement. Do you want to put a number in there?
129.
But using that, it was a record number.
Yep.
And they helped you. That's powerful. Simple. Much better than thank you on behalf of. How many of you are going to go back and continue to use on behalf of or thank you for in your acknowledgement letters? If you can, change it. It is a great renewal strategy too. And I promise you now, every acknowledgement letter you get going forward, you will notice the first line. What does this one say? Have they read the book? A couple of things that I love to suggest, especially with phoning, if you're not having success necessarily soliciting through phoning, but using phoning for thanking. Thanking, and this is a great activity for students and for board members, because being able to pick up the phone and not having that pressure of I have to make the ask, but I actually just get to say thank you to someone, and they're surprised usually that I'm just calling to say thank you for your gift. And you probably as a chapter want to decide, especially if you get certain level of a gift, that that person gets a call right away from the head of your chapter or one of the board members saying thank you, so that that person doesn't just get a generic letter, but that they actually feel that thanks. The renewal process, I will tell you, is a great deal easier when people feel grateful for the gifts. Think about your own giving. When you have been appropriately thanked and you feel like the charity has really said to you, that means a lot. It's really easy to write that check again in the next year. So think about those things when you build that plan. How can we thank those that are giving? Because renewing them is a lot easier the next year. So maybe here we build in a phoning that's just a thank-a-thon.